Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to First Parish in Brookline, a Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Lisa Underhill. I will be your worship associate today, and our service will be led by our interim minister, the Reverend Joe Cherry. We are so glad you are all here this morning. We extend a special welcome to anyone who may be here for the first time. However you identify, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. We hope you will join us after the service for coffee and conversation. Just follow the crowd through that door and down the hall. Do we have any announcements this morning? All right, welcome.
Somebody cleverer than I greeted us at the door with Happy New Year, which was amazing. So let's say Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. I'd like to call us into worship this morning with the words of the Reverend Kim Mason. Once upon a time, chemists believed that they could transform lead into gold or death into life. We find that cute. But are we not also in the business of alchemy? Turning loneliness into connection, pain into comfort, anger into solidarity, faith into action? The subtle magic of church combines love with justice, creates hope out of fear, transforms individuals into community. Here we engage in holy alchemy, finding beauty in the ordinary and life in the present. Come, let us be transformed together. And I invite you to open your gray hymnals, rise embodying the Spirit as you're able, to sing Morning Has Broken.
And now, as Margaret Williams comes forward to light our chalice, please join me in our unison affirmation words, first in English and then in Spanish. We give ourselves one unto another, covenanting to walk together as a congregation, promising faithfully to watch over one another and to delight for love to abide in our midst. Nos entregamos y nos comprometemos a caminar juntos como congregación, prometiendo con mucha fe cuidarnos mutuamente y deleitarnos en el amor que permanecerá entre nosotros.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kay, and I am our brand new religious exploration coordinator here. Today, as we all know, is a very special day. It is our in-gathering. It's our first time together after a summer, maybe apart. It is water communion, and it is my first ever water communion. So to prepare for today, I wanted to learn the story of how this whole water communion idea got started. What I learned was that this idea didn't start centuries ago, and we didn't just make it up. It started in 1980. That's before I was born. It's when my mom was still a little girl. This idea started, as so many things do in this faith, with just an idea. Two strong Unitarian Universalist women named Lisa Shuck Longview and Carolyn McDade. These women loved Unitarian Universalism, but they felt like religion didn't always celebrate women's strengths, and they wanted to change that. Now, I'm going to be doing a little demonstration up here today with some water and some color. I know not everybody might be able to see, so I want to invite anybody who's little to come up and watch if they'd like. And I want to invite somebody to come up and maybe describe what they see today. Is there anyone who's brave enough to come and share a description of what they're going to see today? One of our RE teachers, Michael Monroe, is going to help me out.
Good morning.
Lucille and Carolyn had an idea, and an idea is like one drop of water.
I see the color, and it's starting to expand as it drops. When it went in, it was a very small spot, but now it's already spread out to the point where it's almost the entire perimeter of the jar, and it continues to drop, and it's beautiful, and it continues to expand in multiple directions along 3 axes at this point.
That was what happened with Lucille and Carolyn's idea. See, it started small. They wanted women to have a space where they could feel empowered. So they asked women from all over the country to get some water that was special to them. And to gather in one place, they sat in a big circle and they poured water into a shared bowl. As they poured that water, they shared stories about their struggles, about their lives, about the things that were special and joyful to them. And as they shared these stories, this idea began to spread. Those women took this idea of women's religious empowerment home to their congregations. And in 1981, the Unitarian Universalist Association decided to change our 7 principles to make it more inclusive. They decided to tell stories and use language that made everybody feel strong. The idea of water communion also spread, and as it spread, it changed. It went from a symbol of one group to a symbol of everybody in the congregation coming together. And I think the reason they chose that symbol is because if I take a little bit of color and I put it on my finger, what do you see, Michael?
I see a tiny drop on Kay's finger and it's not going anywhere.
Nothing much happens. But if I take that one small drop and I put it in water,
All right, it's already spread out some.
yeah.
Now it's growing.
So water is a symbol of how one individual idea, one individual person can fundamentally transform the structure of this faith. When you pour your water into the bowl today, it's not going to be fun colors like this. It'll all look the same. But remember that under the surface, this is what's happening. Your water is swirling, it is changing, it is combining with everybody else's here to make a water that we only have here at First Parish. When the women were done with their ritual, they wanted to take some of this special energy, some of this special water home with them. They didn't have any containers, so they dumped out their perfume and their lotion and their makeup bottles. They gathered the water up and they took it home. I wonder if we can imagine carving out a space for us to take the spirit of this community home with us today. And what I want to leave you with is this. What we believe in as Unitarian Universalists is that every single one of us can do what Lucille and Carolyn did. We can bring our own voices, our own traditions to this faith, and we can change everything. I'm so glad you're all here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay, and thank you, choir. Our reading today is from the autobiography of Helen Keller, scholar, activist, author, and passionate advocate for the deaf and blind. At the age of 19 months, Helen Keller barely survived a catastrophic illness that left her completely blind and deaf. She went from a happy, healthy toddler just learning to talk to being trapped in a world of utter darkness and silence. This is chapter 4 from The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. The most important day in all my life is the one on which my teacher, Anne Mansfield Sullivan, came to me. It was the 3rd of March, 1887, 3 months before I was 7 years old. On the afternoon of that eventful day, I stood on the porch, dumb, expectant. I guessed vaguely from the hurrying to and fro in the house that something unusual was about to happen, so I went to the door and waited on the steps. The afternoon sun penetrated the mass of honeysuckle that covered the porch and fell on my upturned face. My fingers lingered on the familiar leaves and blossoms which had just come forth to greet the sweet southern spring. I did not know what the future held of marvel or surprise for me. Anger and bitterness had preyed upon me continually for weeks, and a deep languor had succeeded this passionate struggle. Have you ever been at sea in a dense fog when it seemed as if a tangible white darkness shut you in, and the great ship, tense and anxious, groped her way toward the shore with plummet and sounding line, and you waited with beating heart for something to happen? I was like that ship before my education began. Only I was without compass or sounding line and had no way of knowing how near the harbor was. Light, give me light, was the wordless cry of my soul, and the light of love shone on me that very hour. I felt approaching footsteps. I stretched out my hand as I supposed it to be my mother. Someone took it, and I was caught up and held close in the arms of her who had come to reveal all things to me, and more than all things else, to love me. The morning after my teacher came, she gave me a doll. When I had played with it a little while, Miss Sullivan slowly spelled into my hand the word D-O-L-L. I was at once interested in this finger play and tried to imitate it. When I finally succeeded in making the letters correctly, I was flushed with childish pleasure and pride. Running downstairs to my mother, I held up my hands and made the letters for doll. I did not know that I was spelling a word or even that words existed. I was simply making my fingers go in monkey-like imitation. In the days that followed, I learned to spell in this uncomprehending way a great many words, among them pin, hat, cup, sit, stand, and walk. But my teacher had been with me several weeks before I understood that everything has a name. One day, while I was playing with my new doll, Miss Sullivan put my old rag doll into my lap also. She spelled doll and tried to make me understand that D-O-L-L applied to both. I became impatient at her repeated attempts, and seizing the new doll, I dashed it upon the floor. I was keenly delighted when I felt the fragments of the broken doll at my feet. Neither sorrow nor regret followed my passionate outburst. I had not loved the doll. In the still, dark world in which I lived, there was no strong sentiment or tenderness. I felt my teacher sweep the fragments to one side of the hearth, and I had a sense of satisfaction that the cause of my discomfort was removed. She brought me my hat, and I knew I was going out into the warm sunshine. This thought, if a wordless sensation may be called a thought, made me hop and skip with pleasure. We walked down the path to the well house, attracted by the fragrance of the honeysuckle with which it was covered. Someone was drawing water, and my teacher placed my hand under the spout. As the cool stream gushed over one hand, she spelled into the other hand the word water, first slowly, then rapidly. I stood still, my whole attention fixed upon the motions of her fingers. Suddenly, I felt a misty consciousness, as of something forgotten, a thrill of returning thought, and somehow the mystery of language was revealed to me. I knew then that W-A-T-E-R meant the wonderful, cool something that was flowing over my hand. That living word awakened my soul, gave it light, hope, joy, set it free. There were barriers still, it is true, but barriers that could in time be swept away. I left the well house, eager to learn. Everything had a name, and each name gave birth to a new thought. As we returned to the house, every object which I touched seemed to quiver with life. That was because I saw everything with the strange new sight that had come to me. On entering the door, I remembered the doll I had broken. I felt my way to the hearth and picked up the pieces. I tried vainly to put them together. Then my eyes filled with tears, for I realized what I had done. And for the first time, I felt repentance and sorrow. I learned a great many new words that day. Mother, father, sister, teacher were among them, words that were to make the world blossom for me, like Aaron's rod with flowers. It would have been difficult to find a happier child than I was as I lay in my crib at the close of that eventful day and lived over the joys it had brought me, and for the first time longed for a new day to come. Now is the time for our offering. We invite your generosity to support the good work of this community of faith and hope. If this is your first time visiting us, please feel free to let the offering plate pass you by.
Reverend Joe and the trustees, the Board of Trustees, receive these gifts and see it as an act of trust. And we accept them and promise to do our best to live into our Unitarian Universalist values. Thank you.
So before I begin my formal sermon, I want to tell the choir you almost broke the first rule of church, which was don't make the minister cry before he preaches. Because at our wedding, we had the choirs of Denise Church and my church together sing The Water is Wide. And so that was very nice. Thank you for that. I know you didn't do it for me, but thank you for it. In her fourth book, The Face of the Deep, A Theology of Becoming, Catherine Keller begins her book by literally jumping into the deep end. A contemporary Christian theologian and professor of constructive theology at Drew University, Keller's work is oriented around social and ecological justice, post-structuralist theory, and feminist readings of scripture and theology. Dr. Keller, among other things, highlights the very question of creation in her book. Is it creatio ex nihilo, or is it ex nihilo nihil fit? Is the reality of the story of the beginning creation out of nothing, or from nothing comes nothing? Dr. Keller writes that in order to truly examine the way we think about the world, we have to dislodge the doctrine of creation out of nothing. I'm going to invite you to think about that for just a minute, because it's really, I've been thinking about it for 15 years. It's super cool, and if you want to talk about it later, we can. I think you should. Dr. Keller also uses the imagery of in the beginning. In the beginning there was darkness, the darkness of deep water. Quoting an earlier theologian, Hermann Gunkel, an Old Testament specialist, Keller writes that God vibrated over the water, creating a butterfly effect in creation. That God never created alone in isolation, but rather only in relationship with an other. Now, before reading her book, I, of course, had encountered the text from Genesis, because who hasn't? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. I had always imagined this great formless nothing as kind of a gaseous cloud. But with reading Keller's work, I see not a formless nothing, but a fluid liquid. We know so much more about the world, the earth, in its timeline than did the ancient Hebrews who told these stories and began to write them down as text some 11,000 years ago. We now know that life evolved in and from water. What before was a story, possibly a metaphor, is in fact accurately reported information that would only take us some 11,000 years to confirm. That, to me, is amazing. Science as metaphor, metaphor as fact. When I arrived in Brookline 3 Septembers ago, this congregation was in a place of deep uncertainty. While not quite as formless as a vast ocean in the darkness, there wasn't much structure that one expects to see in a typically well-functioning church. I say this not to blame anyone, let me be very clear, but only to share what I saw when I first arrived. Now, I am not God. I did not vibrate over the formless water. I have no illusions about that. But I can say that together we have worked to create form here at First Parish. And as is the case with all creation, some of it worked, some has not. Some of it you may have personally liked. Some certainly was uncomfortable. Building is uncomfortable. Mountains require pushing up against each other to grow into mountains. And the metaphor goes on and on and on. Keller writes that we are so entrenched in this doctrine of the beginning that one would be hard-pressed to think about the beginning of everything and not have this doctrine pop up in our heads. Think about the beginning, and by this I mean the, capital T, beginning, capital B. What was there before the beginning? And if something was there, what was it? And if something was there, then have we really identified the beginning? Her question inspires me to ask you, what are your assumptions about First Parish? The things that you know without a doubt. Can you call them into question, or is that unsettling? Is it too unsettling? What do you know, and what do you merely think you know? In August, when Lisa asked me if she could read from the Helen Keller autobiography, I immediately said yes, because I tried to encourage our worship associates to bring their own lens, their ideas and experiences into our worship time together. It wasn't until later when I read the portion of, and this occurred to me as I was writing this very sentence, Catherine Keller, Helen Keller. I looked it up. They're not related, in case you were also, I wasn't sure. Anyway, so Lisa lifted up this portion of Helen's story where Helen makes the connection between fingerspelling and water, realizing that water has a name. And Lisa's selection inspired me to consider how learning unlocks the universe to us. Helen, before her teacher Anne Sullivan helped her break through her world of formless understanding, with Sullivan's guidance, that world began to take shape in ways that allowed people outside her mind to understand her experience and for her to understand theirs. It took effort for Helen to learn to communicate to the outside world, both to express her inner thoughts and to accept that the outside world had to teach her. She could not have done it if she stuck only with what she knew before that breakthrough moment with Anne Sullivan and the water. We can't forget that Helen resisted, and by her own account, mightily, the lessons that her teacher was trying to teach her at first. There was confusion, anger, a disruption of what she'd always done to get her way. Her response to these changes was hitting, tantrum throwing, shouting, and biting as she resisted this new force who was trying to get her, Helen, to do things differently. In the end, Helen, in order to realize her full potential, needed to learn new ways of operating in the world. And let us for a moment pause in gratitude for her journey. For we would all be the poorer for not knowing her story and the lessons about the human animal that she taught us in her autobiography. Before Anne Sullivan arrived, Helen had survived. In a very real way, she and her family had managed to keep her alive, which is really no small feat when you consider that childhood mortality rate when Helen was born was 40%. And she'd already gone through that horrible, horrible disease. Helen survived because she learned how to make her way through the house, how to eat, how to get along well enough within her family. After her breakthrough, though, Helen learned to do so much more than merely survive. She learned to blossom and thrive. Here, we have to be willing to let go of the things that we have always done and the ways we've always done them when we are in survival mode in order to thrive. And that can be scary. Catherine Keller wrote, "Faith is not settled belief, but living process. It is the very edge and opening of life in process. To live is to step with trust into the next moment, into the unpredictable." I'm going to repeat that. Faith is not settled belief, but living process. It is the very edge and opening of life in process. To live is to step with trust into the next moment, into the unpredictable. Isn't that what we're trying to do here? Are we not trying to live a faithful life? A life that is true to our growing understanding, all the while knowing that we don't know everything? As the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King is credited with saying, "Take the first step in faith, even if you can't see the whole stairway when you start." As we begin our third and final year together, I want to leave you with these two questions. And because I'm a UU, they're compound questions. What revolutionary learning might happen here if we were but to open to it? How might it change us, our place in the world, and indeed the world, which we all know needs changing? And are you brave enough to set aside the things that have always served you in order to, with faith, grow and thrive? Hi, everybody. Is this on? Oh, it is on. Great, because people are going to be talking at this microphone, and I want to make sure to do the instruction now. See how closely I'm talking to the microphone, everyone. When you talk, please do this. I know many of you are teachers. There are people, though, who use assisted hearing devices, and without this microphone, they can't hear you no matter how loud you think you are. So please be considerate and talk like this, which makes even me uncomfortable. I'm going to start our water communion by using a gift given to me for water communion, a light that only lights in water. Cool, huh? As it has become our tradition in Unitarian Universalist churches around the world, we gather the first Sunday of a new church year and pour water into a common bowl. We also sometimes lose our place in our, okay. into a common vessel. Often this water was brought from near and far, from travels of the body and spirit, and shared with open hearts. The combining of waters symbolizes our coming back together as a community after many have taken a break from church for the summer. I know who you are. From your tap at home, from the places you visited, from the pitcher on the table because we forgot today that was water communion, or because we knew that we are new and didn't know it was water communion and didn't know what it was about, or you're the minister who also did not bring his water. As you come forward today to pour your water into the common bowl, please pause for a moment and offer either a simple, quiet blessing to the water already gathered, or a thought of gratitude for this community. And then share with us your first name and what your hopes for our church is in the next year. So I also want to tell you that we've added another component, which is why it's silent. So everyone, I am Reverend Joe, and I have a blessing of gratitude for the water that's in this pitcher, which is from water communions past. So listen closely. Can you hear the water? You might be very close to do it. Also, everyone needs to be very still so everyone can hear it. So I'd like to invite everyone who wishes to come forward to share some water in the common bowl, offer a blessing, say your name, and pass to the next person. Please come forward as you're able. We have a little pitcher for little hands and a big pitcher for big hands.
Elizabeth McIntyre, New Beginnings.
My name is Maya.
My name is Susie,
Juan.
and my hope is for joy and community this year.
Yes, agreed.
Hi, my name's Lily.
And my name is Annelie. And my hope is to extend those wonderful connections that we've already made in the half a year that we've been here.
My hope is for solidarity, for the reinforcement of hope, and for remembering that we are the river.
He's Charles and I'm Barbara.
Anya Thomas, and for my family, that we are continuing to embrace infinite possibilities and connection with our friends and family, and for this congregation, that we are able to embrace infinite possibilities and community and connection with our families.
My name is Sarah.
My name is Harper.
My name is Keon.
You want to pour? My hope for this year is for more learning and empathy. That's from the rain today.
Hi, I'm Michaela.
And I'm Eliza.
And our hope for this year for our church community is that we have lots of opportunities to grow and have fun together.
My name is Elena. My hope for us is that we are vibrant and healthy and loving.
Hi, Hi, I'm Marilyn, and my hope is the same as Elena's. I also hope that we can help contribute to some sanity in this world. One other thing, I'm just grateful to have the waters getting closer to us. Can you guys not hear me? I see everybody. Okay, let me try this again. My hope is the same as Elena's, plus I want us all to help contribute to more of a sane country. My second comment is that I'm very happy to have waters of our family getting closer to us.
Our hope is represented by this, which is church water, that this church, which is our Spirit's home, becomes Spirit's home to everybody who needs one.
I'm Elisa, and my hope for myself and for us is that we trust in our rootedness as we embrace change.
I'm Gina Jamay, and my hope is for healing, transformation, and movement in our community.
Good morning. I'm Jeff Cotto, and I'm glad no one stole my word yet. I just would like to say rejuvenation.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I have some Canadian watery. And my hope is for deepening friendships and continuing to find surprising things in common with people that I meet in the congregation.
Hi, I'm Kiara, and I'm looking at a sticker. This bottle is covered in stickers, but there's one sticker here that says emotional support water bottle, and I hope that we can be that for each other.
Good morning. My name is Etienne, and my hope for this congregation, as well as for myself, is to get to know all of you a little bit better this year.
Hi, I'm Tanya. My hope is for continued growth and healing and community.
Hello, my name is Betsy, and my additional hope, what I could add to everyone else's, is that we relearn the good lessons from the past, because I remember Faulkner's great statement that the past is not dead, it's not even past.
Hello, my name is Barbara. This water is from Francistown, New Hampshire, the home of my sister who has Alzheimer's disease, and my hope is that there will be peace for her and her family. My name is Sue, and I don't have anything special to say. Except I love you all, and I wanted to be part of the flow, so here it goes, and I don't want to spill it. Water.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly. I just started coming this summer. And my hope for myself and for everyone is to remember that there is beauty in the stillness of the water and in the churning of the water.
Hi, my name is Bob, and this is
Mayab.
And our word is gratitude. May this place continue to become a place where we learn and delight in each other, and so that we can look back on this time and appreciate how much the being together means. That's good.
Hi, I'm Elena. I think of water, sometimes there's something purifying about it. So I hope that similarly, church can be a place where we sort of wash the stresses and anxieties of the world away and sort of come back to a really grounded, centered, loving state.
My name is Clint, and as chair of the Buildings and Grounds Committee, I hope that this place may provide us shelter from the storm.
My name is N.
Carla.
My hope is that we will continue to have this place where we share our sadnesses and our joys. And one of our joys is the birth of our fourth great-grandchild, little Nikolai.
Good morning, I'm Julie, and my hope is that we will continue to welcome new families here, and I'm grateful that we have this wonderful new RE coordinator, so let's keep it going, everyone.
I hope as I'm Landon, and I hope we can continue the miracle of continually pouring water out of this pitcher. It still pours.
Good morning, I'm Midge. I have 2 words. One is fortitude and the other is courage. I hope that we can have the fortitude to stay together in joy in a world that appears to be falling apart around us. And I hope that we have the courage to take calculated risks as we look ahead to the future of this church and this congregation. Oh, there is a little water.
Hi, I'm Ty, and I have hope and gratitude. Personally, my hope is for a long life because now recently I've had 3 ICU stays in the past few years, and my gratitude is for my emergency response team that, is able to let in EMS and bring me safely to the ICU. But having repeated visits, I honestly can't tell how much longer I'll be here.
Good morning. My name is Nate, and I just want to express my gratitude to this community for existing and being a place of support and camaraderie, and just to express my hope for the future, both personally and in general, that there will be my hope for a brighter future and for moments of joy and camaraderie. And I also want to say that, express that I'm impressed with how long we have made the water in these pitchers last. Thank you.
I'm Deborah, and my hope is that this congregation grows so that more and more people can experience the incredible friendship, love, and support that we have found here. Thank you. Good idea. But don't dunk the mic. Wait a minute.
Good morning. I'm Whit Larrabee, and this is my partner Susan. And the first thing I wanted to say, I wanted to welcome Kay. And secondly, I wanted to express gratitude for Reverend Joe, because he has brought us his wisdom of focusing on clarity and helping us to get formed in the congregation. And then this is my 3rd year on the board, and I noticed in that position, and now that I'm the chair, that I noticed that there is a lot of effort and contribution and volunteer efforts of everybody on the various committees and on the other board members that I'm grateful for.
So if there's any left, oh, there is. Here we try to have fun and try to pay attention to the sacred. And I really hope the two intersect a lot this year. So with the end of our water, together, I will conclude this water communion. Invite you to sing together, rising in body and spirit, our closing hymn, which will be on the wall.
As Reverend Joe extinguishes the chalice, please join me in our unison affirmation, first in Spanish and then in English. Apagamos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, ni el calor de la comunidad, ni el fuego del compromiso. Estos los llevamos con nosotros y los ofrecemos para bendecir al mundo. We extinguish this flame and not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry with us and offer as gifts unto the world.
May our journey together be a little unsteady, a little wobbly, and may we need a little help along the way. After all, no one can help us if we don't let them see when we feel unsure, when we are scared, and when we are in need. As we go from this, our sacred time together, back into the world that needs us, remember, the world doesn't always need our certainty. Sometimes it needs to see that our uncertainty means that we are ready to grow into the next iteration of ourselves. Amen, and go in love.